8, the burning hate. Between Sunday and Monday, there lies a day so dark it will devastate. Welcome back to Bad Movies Rule, the worst movie podcast ever recorded. And today we're taking you forward to 2033, where resources are scarce, but tanks are plentiful.
Right.
We're talking about Tank Girl.
And they still know poetry. They also had pretty cool airplanes.
They do. They do. And I thought at one point, I know we're jumping way ahead and we've literally 10 seconds in. I thought that girl built that vertical takeoff Harrier jet from scratch. Like, did she just manifest?
Yeah, I like that thing. I don't know what that was. Like, what's that punk?
She just painted it, I guess.
Painted it, maybe.
Yeah. Not a lot was really clear as far as how things happened.
No, stuff just sort of happens. You're like, whoa, something else is happening. There's a happening.
It's a ride.
It's a ride. It is a ride.
It's a ride.
It's a heck of a ride.
Welcome in this morning.
Drugs might help that ride.
Probably a totally different experience.
Yes, and not the downer types.
No, good Lord.
I don't know anything about drugs.
To the side types.
I know. Actually, I know a lot about prescription drugs.
Yeah?
But most of the ones I take have no psychedelic effects. Okay.
So what, it's like try and watch it on an Ambien, see if you can make it through?
Yeah, or like...
If you want to know about back pills, that's the man to talk to.
You know, my Jardiance, who helps with my diabetes, isn't going to give me any excitement over this movie.
Right. Some rheumatoid arthritis.
Yeah.
But you...
Rubbing that cream in the joints, baby, while you're watching Tank Girl is going to be some exciting stuff for you.
Thank you for joining us this morning. We've got... As you heard, Charles Hewitt and his old man ointment cream is in the house.
Something
Smells
happens.
like Ben Gay in here.
Something happens when you turn 45, boys.
That's what I hear.
Everything falls apart. Enjoy it while you got them.
We're not that far away.
Yeah, we're right there.
Also with us this morning is Mr. Joseph Goratowski. How are you, Joe?
Oh, I'm loose.
Yeah?
Yeah, I feel loose now.
Okay.
Loose. Good.
I'm ready to go.
You're all oiled up?
No, but I wouldn't go that far.
Okay, all right.
But yeah, I was told that this was my pick.
You drafted this movie. Everything that happens today is your fault.
It's my fault. Yeah.
Yes. I hope you like this movie.
It was good.
Okay.
We're going to go over this.
I was really hoping the guy who picked it was really on board with it.
Well,
I am actually on board.
Okay, good.
So
Okay.
I will be the
you'll be the good guy.
the beacon in the fog of Tank Girl.
You'll bring some clarity.
Perfect.
I hope so.
Because I'm Jet Boy and I'm about to bomb this thing from the skies.
I'm gonna stick you with a
That's right.
dehydrator machine.
Well, thanks again for joining. Those of you who are new to the show, but how this basically works is we go through, we talk about the vitals of the movie, basically the particulars, who directed it, who was in it, all of that. Some little behind the scenes stuff if it's relevant. Then we just give our overall impressions of the film, what our history with the movie is, and then we just walk through the plot step by step. So even if you haven't seen the movie, we're going to
know what it's like by the end.
That's right. You're going to see it through our eyes, our mouths. I don't know, you'll see it through our mouths.
Yes.
It doesn't seem like
hear it through our faces.
Our glorious ability to describe
right.
what's happening and make commentary upon it.
Absolutely. That's literally what we do.
That's what we do. So
we're going to get kicked off with the vitals right off the bat here. And so this movie, Tank Girl, from 1995, it does. It's alive. It has a pulse.
It felt like it was maybe devoid of...
Okay, calm down. Calm down.
Can I say one thing?
Yes, please.
I was
just one.
Excited. I was very excited to see United Artists at the opening and MGM. I don't think either of those studios exist anymore, do they?
I don't think they do.
They're all bankrupt.
Oh, nice. Yeah, well, because they made stuff like this. But,
right.
But that was a nice throwback to my young adulthood and
you had a flashback there.
I did. I'm like,
saw it.
United. I told my wife, I said, I haven't seen United Artists.
A brief moment of hope before it was snuffed out by the film.
I will say there were a few entertaining points.
There was, yeah. So the movie was directed by Rachel Talalay, who the only thing of note she did was Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare. It was her first film. Then she did another one with...
Was that a good movie?
Freddy's Dead? I mean, once you're like Freddy 7 or 6 by that point,
it's like movies.
And after she did Tank Girl, television the rest of the way. Although she did some really good TV.
Okay.
She's done some really
TV's
prestigious,
the new thing, right? So
some prestigious things on. Yeah. Oh no, for sure. It was written by So when I say written by, there was the original comic creators who actually also were rewriting the script on the fly, so they were heavily involved.
it's British, also.
Yes.
Yeah, this is all from a British
This could explain
comic.
some things.
But I love British humor.
I do generally.
and I didn't detect no British humor detected.
Well, as we're talking, let's review
let's
that
see it.
thought while we
Okay.
go through. Perhaps that's what we're getting at is British humor.
It was written by Alan Martin and Jamie Hewlett. So Jamie Hewlett and Alan Martin were the creators.
Don't connect my name with this thing.
Not Hewlett. And
Hewlett-Packard.
also Teddy Serafian. So Teddy Serafian is the guy that wrote the script before the comic writers rewrote it. And the only other real thing of note on his filmography is he wrote the story for T3, Rise of the Machines, Terminator 3. Movie stars Lori Petty.
That was a good one, wasn't it?
It wasn't. It wasn't nearly what T2 was, but it was probably the last decent one before the cliff face.
Right. Yeah.
You know, when you got you got Genesis and you've got the one with Christian Bale.
Yeah.
Rise of the Machines is when the machines actually rise and take over the world.
Yeah, it's when Nick Stahl comes and does.
Yeah, I like that one.
Yeah, that's not bad. Where the female, the Terminatrix.
Yeah, it was depressing, but it was good.
The movie stars Lori Petty, Ice-T, Naomi Watts in a very early role for her.
Very early.
Malcolm McDowell.
First scene with Ice-T, you're like, he knows he doesn't want to be in this movie. It's like, what?
Au contraire.
What?
Au contraire.
In the
Man, you are jumping
world
to the everything. You're
am
like,
I
he's
doing
going to get into
in
this.
this movie is what his face says.
There's been an interview
That's acting.
with him.
Yes.
Oh,
And he actually enjoyed this movie.
He enjoyed it.
Why? Because he got paid $1 million.
Yeah, he got a lot of money.
yeah.
That's what
This
you can
was
see.
his
You
first-
can see his eyes. Money, money, money.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
No one told me what I'd be dressed up as when I interviewed for this, or that's not interview.
no,
auditioned.
well, no. Like he was. There was an episode of Howard Stern, and he was on there, and he was talking about it, and how he had done a movie, and he did a couple movies, but it was for pennies on the dollar, basically. And he was just like, all right, something's got to happen. And then he gets a call saying, hey, do you want to be this thing?
a kangaroo.
A kangaroo, this post-apocalyptic kangaroo, and they're like, he's like, how much money am I going to get paid? And they go $1 million, and I guess he literally started jumping around his apartment, trying to act like a kangaroo right after the conversation.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh!
Like he was like, yeah, okay.
I sort of remember your
I'm
face.
willing to do this.
James and I had lunch yesterday.
Yeah.
And I said, "There's kangaroos in the end," and James' face was like, "What?"
I hadn't watched it yet. Yeah.
Yeah.
oh,
I was like, there's post-apocalyptic kangaroos in this movie.
yeah.
Wait, is this movie actually awesome? That's like my first thought because I love kind of
I have
weird,
to
crazy
say,
stuff
I
like
like
that.
the kangaroos. They were okay. I mean,
Well, here's what I'll mention since we're doing the vitals. The guys that the studio that did the kangaroo stuff was Stan Winston's
Yes.
studio.
they knew what they were doing.
Like Hollywood royalty
Yeah,
as far as that
Stan
stuff
Winston,
goes.
Stan Winston took a pay cut
Yeah, I heard that. I saw that.
to be able
So
to,
good
to
for
do
him.
this.
That part was like, if you're going to have post-apocalyptic kangaroos,
It's fun to say.
they did it well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. The movie had a budget of $25 million.
Billion.
24 if
Million.
you're not counting Ice-T.
Yeah, 24 if you're not counting Ice-T. Ice-T's expensive. This is our second Ice-T film because we had him in
94?
3,000 miles. 95.
That's
Yeah.
quite a bit, 95, right?
Yeah, but check this out. The box office off that 25 million was $6 million.
Oh,
Million.
oh, I hear it. I feel it.
Million.
I feel it. This is why United
Yeah.
Artists is no longer around.
That's a $19 million bet. Well,
I saw,
really
too,
more.
that some owner, or not owner, but CEO of one of those companies, like as soon as he got the job, he bought the rights to this thing.
Like snapped it up
So he's
immediately.
like, "This is it. This is going to be the thing that makes my legacy."
That's right. I'm going to build this studio on Tank
On
Girl's
Tank
back.
Girl.
Didn't really work out.
He was on drugs when he took that decision.
It's currently sitting at a 5.3 on IMDb.
What's it made over its lifetime? Do we know?
I don't know over its lifetime, but not.
I can't imagine it
Not
made up.
$25 million.
Can't imagine it.
Especially when half of that six went to
okay.
the theaters.
I helped him out yesterday.
Yeah.
Okay, well, they got
it was a
$4
cult
bucks.
classic. It's a cult
91
classic now, so
yeah.
they've got some money back.
That's a cult that needs some help.
5.3.
Cult needs Jesus.
All right, so that's 0.5 under Air America. It's 5.3 on IMDb. 40% on Rotten Tomatoes. and a 63% audience score.
See?
63.
2/3 of the audience
Enjoy it.
enjoy it.
Police officers. I'm making a lot of drug jokes. Go find those people.
Go
They're
find
doing
them.
drugs.
All right.
And not and they're doing the hard stuff.
Charles, we're gonna start with you.
You think so?
What's your
Because you
opinion
seem
on
like
this,
you're chomping
Charles?
at the
Yeah,
bit.
yeah, you're just...
I need to. When was the first time you saw it? And
I saw it Thursday
okay,
evening.
so just a few days ago.
Yes.
What is your just general impression, Goodyear blimp view of the movie?
What the heck?
Okay.
What's going on in this movie? Malcolm McDowell's good.
I'm not going to argue on that.
Ears of kangaroos are amazingly accurate actors.
Yeah.
Like they express emotion very powerfully.
They do.
Other than that, I don't understand
Okay.
what's happening mostly.
So it's not that you hated it, you just didn't get it.
Oh, I think it's more towards the
You hated it.
hate. It's a strong word, but it might be applicable.
All right.
Okay, hate. No, I don't hate it because I don't care about it enough.
It's
All right, fair
too
enough.
new yet. It's too new
It's
for
a
you.
weird
It hasn't.
move. Okay, so I
it
go in
hasn't sunken
completely
in
blank.
yet.
I go in completely.
That's what it is.
Okay, it's not completely blank because my wife thought she'd seen this movie before.
Yeah, it's like she loved it.
She thought she loved it, and so she's in the room with me when I start watching it, and she's like, This is not what I thought it was." And
Oh.
so then I'm sort of like, "Well, I'm confused because I thought you really liked this movie."
Yeah.
And then she's like, "No." And then I'm like, "I don't think you would have liked this movie because of the content and what's happening, and knowing you enough that
Right.
this probably wouldn't be your thing."
Okay.
And then I was confused the rest of the movie just in general because the movie's pretty confusing.
And then you had to watch it by yourself the rest
And I
of
watched, like the last 2/3 I watched by myself.
it. Oh, that's no fun.
She had to go to bed to go to work.
Joe,
Yeah.
I'm assuming because you drafted it, you've got a deep and rich history with Tank Girl.
Not as much as you may think.
Oh.
Not as much as you may think. But I guess it's one of those things where I'm always a fan of the post-apocalyptic stuff.
I know.
For obvious reasons, if you didn't know that. I've seen this a while back. Obviously, you just rewatched it again last night. Half the stuff I don't remember. So it was definitely like, seeing this movie again
For the
half
first
of
time.
it for the first time. But I enjoy this. I enjoy the movie. It is a sit down, open up your mind, popcorn, enjoy the ride type of insanity type, movie type.
Your keyword fits. Insanity.
Yeah.
Insanity.
Yes.
Yes.
And that's how it was supposed to be. Now the comic,
Lori Petty brings that well, by the way.
yes, the comic series is supposed to be just absolutely insane. Like
Right.
there's really, if you look at some of the comics, it's actually kind of hard to follow, but that's the point.
Yeah.
You don't know what's going to happen at any time, anywhere. So they tried to do this as much as possible with this movie, but the movie executives did not like it.
Well, like, maybe don't pick a property like that to make a movie out of
Well, so
if it's total chaos.
Well,
I had an interesting. So I was thinking about this. 'Cause I knew it was a comic book movie, and then I was thinking about this whole issue of when you make a film on a comic book property. Who are you beholding? Like, who's your audience in that? Is it supposed to be the comic book fan,
This is a good
or is it
point.
supposed to be the general audience, and you draw them into the comic book world?
it took filmmakers 30 years to answer that question because
And you-
there's
Marvel.
Marvel is the one
Yep.
that figured it
Marvel
out.
figured
but
it out.
but forever when they were making these comic book movies in the 80s, the 90s, and even the early 2000s with X-Men, the Bryan Singer X-Men,
Right.
that was what they were, and you could see that tension. They're like, we've got to make a movie that somebody can come in cold and still understand. So we can't be slaves to the comic fans,
Okay.
right? And if we make it hyper accurate to the source material, we're going to alienate casual people,
Right.
And it might not play. It's sometimes a cheesy jump like in spandex and all this. So that's why they put the X-Men in leather suits and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because they didn't really have the courage to go all in on that side of things.
Yeah.
And it wasn't really until I feel, and some people might disagree and say it was Tobey Maguire and Sam Raimi before them, but I think Marvel's the one that really perfected and cracked the code and really leaned the most into the comic side of things and just thought, well, casuals will come along for the ride and they'll jump on. So I think they leaned more towards source material.
Yes, they wanted
Yeah.
to.
Right.
And it was a battle from the beginning.
It's always been.
But the thing is, that's what's this whole show is this whole movie was an issue with. Sorry, I can't
it's okay.
today. The issue is that the studio signed on to this. They agreed. Okay, we're gonna, because they sold it as source material. Mm-hmm. They said, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna stick to the comics, and the studio goes, okay, here's $25 million. Then they started filming, and then the studio execs got involved and producers, and they were like,
They got the first daily back with Ice-T as a kangaroo. And
exactly.
They're like,
what
are we spending our money on?
They started having cold feet, and they start arguing about this, and why is this? Why is that?
Yeah.
And it was a power struggle throughout the entire film.
I think the question would be if it's a weird sort of hodgepodge of, we didn't go 100% with this comic, would I have liked it better if they had gone 100%, or would I have been just as
Even
alienated?
more.
To be honest with you, I think you would not have liked it.
Yeah.
much.
So here's my overall impression, because I had never seen the film, and I can jump right onto what you're saying here, Joe, because I think you're halfway there. Because the movie's a mess. It is.
Our show just started, James.
It's a mess.
That's why I'm only halfway there.
No, but Rachel Talalay, the director, blamed the studio, who made her chop it up after they had these test screenings, and she was like, "They can't believe these 14-year-old boys are the ones that are controlling the kind of movie I have to release because they're probably not even paying attention." You saw that whole thing, right? Which and I'm sure that happened. I'm not saying that she's lying. I'm sure the studio. They excel at that, sir, as C-3PO would say about R2-D2.
Yeah.
The studios excel at taking directors' films and go, nah, someone at a test screening didn't like that, so we're chopping it to pieces.
We're paying the bills, so you do it.
Yeah, so do it. So I fully believe that happened.
Counters.
But I also am not taking her off the hook either, because according to Alan and Jamie, the comic creators, they said the filmmakers were inept too, right? The animated sequences, which personally, we'll get into it, I didn't think really worked. But here's why they were there. This is the quote from the two comic book creators. It said, the script was lousy. Me and Alan kept rewriting it and putting Grange Hill and Benny Hill jokes in, and they obviously weren't getting it. They forgot to film about 10 major scenes, so we had to animate them. It was a horrible experience.
Yeah, that's an indictment. If that's true, that's a pretty bad indictment or pretty serious indictment on the filmmaker.
The filmmakers.
Because if you need those, if you don't have those really important, and I think they're right, because the exposition parts of moving the story forward are not clear.
There's whole transition scenes that just aren't there.
No.
And they have to just slap. And to know that, I thought, this is a choice. They were going to include these comic panels as a stylistic choice. No. They're like, no, they just forgot to film scenes, and we had to throw animation in there to fill in the gaps.
And the animation was almost as confusing as the parts they were not animated.
Because
as far as what was happening in
the imagery was cool. Like, I liked the artwork. But because it's like pan and scan and not really like animated, they're just like panning across pictures and doing that. It just didn't really work to me.
Well, and I think the problem was the animation looks so much different than the physical characters.
Yeah, but I think they went with the style of the comic. I'm assuming that's what that artwork was.
Yeah, they were going for
Right. So that's my impression.
I know they also blamed the amount of stuff like that just for budget reasons, like the whole Jet Girl, Tank Girl fight. That whole. They couldn't afford it, so they just went with an animation.
Yeah,
but again, I understand. I understand.
All right. Well, look, if you guys are tuning in, and if you're new, I just want to say, you buckle your seatbelts.
Yeah.
Okay. If you could, if you like what we're doing, if you listen to the episode, you like what we're doing, join us. We're on Patreon. It's patreon.com/badmoviesrule. There's tons of extra content on there. We're going to have bonus recordings, polls to vote on future episodes. We'd love to have you be part of the community we're building full of awesome people. So, for example, so let me tell you about a couple of legends named Keith Bentel and Michael Cowart, who's part of our Patreon.
Legends.
Okay? These guys are so cool. Quentin Tarantino wanted to film them eating breakfast.
Whoa.
Oh my God.
And not even to release it, just to watch later for inspiration.
Yeah. I bet they were eating peanut butter crunch.
Right? He just wants them eating in
a big spoon because they don't care if their mouth.
That's what I'm saying. He just wants it for his personal collection.
Yes.
not only eating breakfast, but eating breakfast with their feet.
That's
right.
That might
That's
be,
right.
This might be libelous or slanderous to what's his name.
These are the kind of guys that when you're hanging out with them, time ceases to have meaning. Okay? And you're just like sucked into their aura and you start to orbit them like people satellites. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Those
I feel
people.
like I need to meet these people.
They're legends.
Legends.
These are the kind of people you can come be around, all right? Come be part of the Patreon.
Keith Bentel worked at my booth. My sales went up 3,000%.
Holy
Oh my
moly,
gosh.
he is a legend.
That's mostly true.
Maybe cut a few zeros off there. But even 3% is good.
That's right.
You know.
These are the kind of people you could hang around with. Anyway, all right, let's get to the
I
movie.
agree.
Let's get to it. All right, so the opening credits of Tank Girl. I thought, well, at least the music's good.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I like
Yeah.
the music. Most of the
Bjork?
music. I was thinking that
Was
the
that Bjork?
scene later in the movie, I really
Some
didn't
of
like
it
the
was.
music, but I liked the
Yeah.
music overall.
Overall,
Yeah.
they were. I know you guys probably saw this, but there was a little band they wanted to get called Green Day.
Little bands. But then they sold out and they got huge and they couldn't afford them.
Within the process of this movie being made,
Yep.
they went from affordable to not affordable.
Yep.
Because that was right when like Dookie hit, and
Yep.
it was just like, forget it. They're huge
That's
megastars.
what
now.
they call sellouts.
Yeah. All right. So just to bring everybody up, basically the overall premise is it's 2033. A giant comet had hit the Earth
Kind of scary. That's only, what, 11 years? 12 years?
from now. Yeah. So it hasn't rained in 11 years. And as I'm watching this, I'm like, oh, this is why Joe drafted this. It's post-apocalyptic.
Post-apocalyptic.
And then there's this company called Power and Water that now run the show.
Water and power.
Water and Power. Sorry.
W is much more pronounced.
Want to make sure
Yeah.
that I have that right. Water and Power.
WP.
They have control.
Not PW.
PW. PW has control of all of the water, like 95% of
think
it.
they do.
They think they do.
I want it.
Because water is power now. Water is currency in this
Yep.
future.
Yep.
And there's these pockets of people that live apart from
Renegades.
renegades, water and power, and they're just trying to scrape an existence by. And then there's also, they allude in the opening credits to these things called Rippers that were created by Johnny Prophet.
Was that early in the movie?
That was
I went
like
back-
during the
I was
opening,
like searching for
Yeah.
that, and I couldn't find it.
was
'cause
right
I
at the
was slightly
beginning.
confused by the end of the movie.
right at the very beginning.
Oh, well, that's why. I think my rental expired, so I can't go back and look.
You didn't buy it?
Yeah, but
I
they
did not buy it.
They
No,
were a military creation.
Yes.
They tried to create, some perfect soldiers, so they mutated
Right.
kangaroos and
Yes.
human DNA together.
Although that one guy said he was a dog. Was he joking or was he serious?
No, he was a dog.
They try to hide the
that was
fact.
confusing.
They spend the whole movie hiding the fact that they're kangaroos. We don't find out that they're mutant kangaroos until like 2/3 into the movie.
Yeah.
They're portrayed as like these crazy alien, and I don't mean alien like from an outer space, but just like
mutants.
mutant
Predator-looking
Violence.
things.
predator.
Out of control.
They're wearing this
rip
armor that
people
makes them
apart.
look like-
That's why they call them rippers.
Yeah, exactly.
They did wear armor that made them look kind of.
That's all to hide the fact that they were just jumping around like kangaroos.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so we are introduced to Rebecca, who is Tank Girl, who the first scene that we see her in,
She's riding a water buffalo.
she's riding a water buffalo.
Which is confusing
in the
because there's
desert.
no water.
Exactly. I thought that was a little ironic.
Yes.
Alanis Morissette
I also don't
there.
understand why it was so sandy. Is that because of the comet?
It's because everything's a desert now that there's
Yeah.
been no
But
rain.
I've lived in deserts and been to deserts. They don't all look like that.
No?
They're not white sands everywhere.
I've never been to a desert. I just assumed every desert looks like
No,
that.
hardly very, 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 very few look like that. Actually.
Haven't you ever seen a Wile E. Coyote cartoon? That's how every desert is.
That's not true though.
Isn't it?
No.
Cartoons inform everything in my life, so that's why I just
I mean, maybe
assumed.
it's. Maybe
I've
it's
learned
located
so
in
much
Africa
stuff
or
from this
something.
movie.
Yeah.
Maybe it's in like the
The deserts are
maybe it's
not
in
look
the
like
desert
deserts.
sands.
Well, there you go. She's riding, and basically she comes upon a house
She's in Tatooine.
that you think isn't hers. They've tried to make it seem like she's sneaking into this house, and she basically gets this guy to strip down
Well, no.
naked.
First of all, the beginning is all voiceover. She's telling the story.
Yes.
And I literally thought
We're gonna be here for 2 hours if we're gonna talk about every little thing.
this is important.
that happened.
When I heard the voiceover, I thought, oh, who is this African American child doing the voiceover. And then she comes in and does the sexy thing with the gun and the boyfriend, and I'm like, "Wait, that's her?" I literally said out loud, "Is that Lori Petty's voice that was doing
Lori
it?" And
Petty.
she's like, "Yes." I'm like, "Oh."
Lori Petty has a very unique
Very
voice.
confused.
Yes. She does sound like a child, even like her recent stuff. Like she was on Orange is the New Black.
She still has that same voice.
She's got like gray hair.
She's awesome
She still
as Kit
sounds like a
in-
12-year-old.
She's really great as Kit.
In League of Their Own. Yeah. So she sneaks in and she gets this guy to strip down, and you think she's robbing them. But
Guy wore a spider shirt.
yeah, he did.
Spiderweb shirt.
Spiderweb shirt.
Yeah. Styles
like-
of the 30s.
All right, within this first scene, we've already got children walking in on a naked
With
adult
really
man.
inappropriate things on their shirts.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
That's British humor.
is that what it is?
It is.
Wankers.
Yeah.
We realize this is her home. This is where she lives, and she's just messing with the guy. And the guy's her boyfriend. And so this is like, I don't know, some kind of weird
They're into weird
game
games.
that
'Cause
they
the boy's
play.
like, oh, they're doing it again.
again.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Post-apocalyptic world's mores change a little.
I do have to say, I enjoy when they make post-apocalyptic movies and the main source or the main antagonist or it's just something nice and simple. Like here, it's just water.
Yeah.
You know,
True.
Water world. There was like it was land, paper, water,
You've heard of
acting.
paper?
You know,
Paper. You heard of paper?
you know, and they really just it was so nice just to have
Yeah.
something nice and simple. Like they have everything else. There's no other conflict.
It's the
just
only
water.
simple thing in this movie.
Yeah, just water.
Everything else is very confusing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they probably threw you a bone there. Like, okay, everything
All
else
right,
is going to
fine.
be pretty hard.
And so
Just make it easy with water.
Speaking of water, it cuts straight to this. We get the introduction. We get the introduction to the bad guys.
Yes.
And it's all of them standing around like with their water glasses. Like, look at us. We don't care so much. We're just
We don't
drinking
drink
it.
champagne.
I
we drink water.
love that
We're just
he's-
going to pour it all over ourselves.
I love the door to his office is a waterfall.
Yes.
That's
The
so
dude
great.
even has a water
He's-
door.
Throughout, he's like misting water.
All right, you just used like
He's
4
got
of my jokes.
Oh,
Like, so we're gonna cut that.
All right.
Okay, we'll go back. Let's stick on the scene that we're on. they're wait, what was I saying?
They're all
They're
standing
just
around.
standing around
They're just
drinking
standing around
water.
drinking water, and I love that the whole point of that is to be like, look how big of jerks we are.
Yes.
Right?
We have control. We have all the water.
We have all of the water, all of it.
Pure hydro.
And then meanwhile, Captain Douche is sitting there, and he or Darouche.
Darouche.
Sure.
Sorry, Captain Douche is
we're good.
is like, yes, sir, we've done all the things you asked us to do. We've taken over 95% of the water,
Yes.
except for this one little crack of land, and we're
Yeah.
going to do it. And,
We'll
and
get it done though.
Kesley loses his mind.
That's right. It's
not good enough.
Breaks glass,
Right.
cool glass window maps.
It appears all this guy did is his job very effectively.
95% of his job.
That's pretty good.
He nailed.
Yeah.
Right?
That would get us pay raises.
And as he's breaking, I want the guy to be like, dude, I said I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
That's true.
let me do it. I just did 95, but that just not fly with him.
And I don't understand why people work for people like this.
I don't know.
I was going to ask that. That's the question I want to get into. What's the motivation behind a lot of these?
The minions, they always stay with these people.
head leaders in the evil organization. Yeah, obviously you have
Yeah.
the one evil man, but then you have their subordinate leaders.
Yes.
What's their motivation? I mean,
I don't know.
Is it fear?
Free-
Or is it like dental?
Free water.
Free water, bro.
I guess water.
All those dudes had champagne glasses filled with
Water?
water.
But
But
the
at
renegades
any
didn't seem to
time-
be dehydrated.
I know. Well, that's
But anytime
an
you
interesting
can get
fact I
killed.
was going to bring up. Yes.
You can get killed at any time just by doing your job 95%.
Yeah,
perfect.
get killed by
He
a
doesn't-
huge knife with a relaxing picture of a bunny on it.
He didn't just get killed. He got straight up turned into a bottle of Dasani.
Yes.
Okay.
Which
This guy.
this is a great scene.
Yes.
Malcolm McMahon played that awesome.
Yeah.
And like I'm like, the knife was weird and the bunny
That was
on
weird,
it. And,
yeah.
and the guy's like, you know he's gonna stab you. Why are you hugging him?
Yeah.
He makes him walk across the glass he
Across
just
the
broke.
glass.
It's like, come here, sir, that
Come
did
get
your job
stabbed.
very well.
Come get stabbed. You know you're going to get stabbed. I know.
I didn't just show you a giant knife with the bunny on it.
But he's got this thing. It looks like a water bottle with these like prongs
Yeah.
on the end of it. And and throughout the movie, this happens multiple times. You stab it into somebody, and it sucks the water from
That was
out
awesome.
of their blood.
All right. I did the math.
Yeah.
Okay, this whole water extraction
Good.
thing.
I'm glad you did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did the math.
This is important.
So, what you think about maybe 4 cups of water comes out of that person?
Yeah.
In actual reality, I did
Yeah.
the math, I did the research. That container, if it pulled out all the water in a human body, that container should have been holding 13.25 gallons of water.
Don't tell Kesley there's that much water inside people.
Yes.
Seriously, he'd be killing everybody.
For an
That's
average
a lot more
human,
than I thought, but you're right, because we're like 65% water.
we
or
are
something.
65% water. So we have on average 13.25 gallons.
He needs to refine his dehydrating sticky thing.
Yeah. So I think if an average weight is like 180, this is like 100 and
Oh, you did
Maybe
the math.
that's just like the cup version, the single serving version. Like
it's the
Keurig.
dehydrated water version.
It's the Keurig version versus the whole pot version of water. Right?
I would say that might be
Single-serving
true.
water
that
for
they
your,
just leave a lot of water in there, but it's like
his
sucked his
hands
skin down to like
yeah,
nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, maybe
Yeah.
it just targets parts of the body.
I don't know.
That's
but
the
that was
It's a
crazy.
Keurig version of the dehydration body machine.
I'm saying it's a crazy way to go, and that's really gangster to drink
Yes,
somebody
that
after
was
you kill
awesome.
them.
I was like, I hope he drinks it. I hope he drinks it. Then he drank it. I'm like, yes, this is a great scene. Like, this guy's evil. Right from the beginning, we know
right.
he's bad.
I'm gonna suck the water out your body, and then I'm gonna drink it
He's going to drink your body
in front of your friends.
While walking on broken glass.
That's like opening scene of Waterworld is peeing and recycling his pee. This guy's recycling people's body water.
That's right.
Straight out of their blood. What a bad guy.
You like it already.
What a bad guy. I have great scene.
Every scene Malcolm McDowell was in, I loved.
I know.
I was cheering for him
Yes.
in this movie. I guess I'm part of Water and Power because I was team Water and Power
You're,
in this
you're like
movie.
Malcolm
just
McDowell was
conform.
good.
I mean, it seems like
Just
these people
conform.
are doing a good job, like
Yeah.
resettling the apocalypse and getting some order
Slave
and
labor,
things. Slave labor.
fine.
Yep.
You know,
All right. Well, maybe
Take
not.
dust
Maybe
bath-
not everything,
dust
but
bath.
we'll.
I can't
All
say
right.
that.
You've ruined it. Now I'm not a fan anymore.
I'm just.
You got to do what
All
you
right.
got to do.
All right. Anyway,
So we see Lori Petty, Rebecca, as on guard duty outside the house, and she's a terrible guard because, am I wrong? Everyone gets slaughtered because of her.
Yeah.
I mean, she fails to see
Yeah.
a SWAT team.
Yeah.
It's like her one job when you're on guard duty because she's farting around, which is she's always
She's
doing.
always doing that.
Yes,
Oh, always.
I would never put her on guard
No.
duty.
well,
She's like a spider monkey with ADDs.
yes. I mean, I'm going to jump really far forward here, but I mean, even when the little girl was in danger, she's like, "Yeah, go ahead, kill her. I'd rather have her dead than
Yeah.
be a
Yeah,
slave."
seriously.
She's okay with just like,
She's,
all right, go ahead.
She's a terrible guard.
She's a
she's a
horrible
terrible guard.
Yeah.
And then
painting
she
her nails. She's
right, and
playing
then
with stuff.
she's like cutting her clothes apart.
Well,
she thinks her boyfriend's there,
coming.
Yeah.
He likes boots. Apparently, he's got a nice birthday present.
and so she starts cutting up her clothes. And this whole time, it's just this random SWAT guy from
Yeah.
PW.
With like a toast night vision goggles.
Yeah,
Toast.
and then she
True.
sticks.
It's like yeah.
She kills him with grenades
Yes,
or pulls his pins.
which is totally cool.
That was a good death.
It was a good death, but everybody gets slaughtered,
Yeah,
right? Well, you think the little kid goes, but the little kid Sam gets kidnapped, and even Tank Girl is taken to Power and Water. I'm gonna have to keep messing up. I'm sorry
Water
if
and
I
Power.
correct myself every time. We're gonna never get out of here. Water and Power because she kills 8 guys, and so they bring her to see the bad guy, to see Kesley.
right.
Okay, who offers her a job? Like, you want to come work for me?
Yeah.
Surprise, surprise. She says no. But the dude is a gangster, like you said. He's even got a door made out of
Yes,
water.
the waterfall door is awesome.
Okay, and there's water all over his office, like underneath his little platform he walks around in. There's a pond.
Yeah,
There's just water everywhere.
Humidity must be just
Yes.
horrible. in
It
that
must
place.
be. But what a better way for him to basically, because
It's a flex.
it's a flex at this point. It's like if you had, curtains made out of $100 bills,
And then,
like
thrones made out of gold and
Right.
And yeah.
that's that version in this reality. I mean, this dude probably takes baths. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Like straight up baths,
Water
water baths. Whereas apparently they do
gotta use
sand
dirt
showers.
bath, sand showers.
Explain that to
and
me.
I don't know how you get clean with that.
Well, that didn't make any sense to me at all.
It didn't make any sense.
If chinchillas can do it,
That's how
people can
chinchillas
do it.
clean themselves.
Rebecca was in,
I guess pigs use mud. So
they made her a prisoner. They made her a slave, because she wouldn't work for him. And so right shortly after that, she's taking a shower. But she had to remove her, shower with your underwear on because we only wash work clothes or whatever the sign
That
said,
was
right?
stupid.
yeah.
And she's just spraying herself with a hose and it's just dirt coming out of it.
Yeah.
How does that work?
It's clean dirt.
I don't know.
Oh, is it?
Rub it around on you. I don't know. Yeah, it didn't make sense.
I do
But
have to say,
apparently
though,
it
it's-
worked pretty well because Jet Girl, her hair always looked wet.
It's true. It's
Yeah.
true.
Well, that guy gave her a lot of
really-
attention. Maybe she used that for special favors to get a bath.
Maybe he never drank his water champagne and just would come and just pour it on her.
Pour it on her. He's like, I like you clean and wet with
I
water.
like you clean.
Be clean.
Did you catch the all the little things, what they're not supposed to
Yeah,
do?
I did see some of
And
those.
I wrote down.
Oh,
one of
please
them-
tell me.
I just want to know.
Oh, the rules list. I saw
rules
that.
list.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was so quick. There's one in particular. I don't know what it is. Maybe you guys can explain
Okay,
it to
we
me.
can help you.
Okay. Why is it illegal to siphon body fluids from other prisoners?
So how would that work exactly?
Siphon body fluid.
How do you siphon body?
That's all I'm gonna say on this.
Oh,
that's-
that's
illegal
we
to
can't
do
talk
so.
about that.
There's
That's
a
what-
lot
I
of,
thought about
there's a
siphoning
lot of-
gas, and then I got there immediately. I was like,
There's
oh,
a lot of grown-up stuff in this movie.
There is.
a lot of sexual stuff, and a lot of
Very.
the way they portray men as all of them, even kangaroo men, as basically only interested in sex.
yeah.
Pigs,
is a little over the top.
Well, and I guess the source material was highly sexualized, and
Yeah.
all of that. So they had to severely actually tone it down for the movie. Like from what the stuff they had to cut out, partially was the fact that it was overly sexual.
Yeah, and like her incestous joke was kind of gross.
That was awful.
Yeah.
Thank you for reminding me. That wasn't even funny.
No, it wasn't.
Like that's just gross.
I'm laughing just at you guys. I'm not laughing at the joke. I'm just laughing at you guys just reacting
gross.
to all of
It was
stuff.
terrible.
It was a bad joke.
And here's the other joke. And so if the jokes weren't terrible, then they were stupid. Like right when he offers her a job, she's like, okay, but how long is it? Because I really don't want to miss Baywatch. I'm like, oh yes.
That ages well.
A 90s reference in 2033.
She does so many 90s references. Got Baywatch, Cats,
Yes.
Monopoly. And there was like a bunch of them.
I know Monopoly's been around for a while,
Yeah.
but
Cats is a terrible play too.
if she's Tank Girl's in her 20s, I'm guessing, and it's 2033, she doesn't know what freaking Baywatch is.
hasn't been a thing for forever.
At that point, 40 years.
Yeah. No,
Right.
that's dumb.
Super dumb.
I did like. It's like having anytime somebody makes a song and it references a time.
Yeah.
Immediately that song's going to fail because it's going to.
Yeah, you
get
immediately date
aged.
yourself, right?
So you never want to date yourself.
No, you wanna make it
whether
timeless.
in a movie or
Topical
or a song.
references, unless it's something that will stand the test of time, like a Star Wars reference, people are still going to understand 40, 50 years from now. But you can't do really niche things
No.
like that. No.
So she's before Kesley, and the quote you started with, he gives.
What's that?
8, the burning hate between Sunday and Monday, there lies a day so dark it will devastate.
Yeah.
Abandon all hope, you who enter here. And Tank Girl says, look, you want to torture me, spank me, lick me, do it, but this poetry shit continues. Look, shoot me now, please.
Yes, that actually, I laughed at that.
That was a pretty good line.
I thought that was good.
Yeah, she delivered that well.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with Lori's I don't put this at her feet. I don't think it's her fault. She committed fully,
No, she was all in on it.
all in on it, and she went for it. And so I have nothing bad to say about Lori Petty
No.
at all.
No.
It's none of this is her fault.
She, not to get too into the what is that called? Where you get start peeling back the layers.
Yeah. Dig into
But-
the onion, Joe.
Yeah, exactly.
Ogres have
She
layers.
definitely paved the way for a lot of female characters.
Certainly. I mean,
One in particular,
Who's that?
I cannot deny. She paved the way for Harley Quinn.
yeah.
Now, because
Okay.
Tank Girl came out, the actual comics came out before Harley Quinn came out.
Right.
Okay.
Harley Quinn was the first appearance of Harley Quinn came out before Tank Girl,
The movie.
the movie. But definitely Tank Girl was before Harley
But
Quinn.
even the original versions of Harley Quinn wasn't like how Harley is now.
No.
She's kind of morphed more into, she's never gone as far as Tank Girl, but like an amalgamation of the two to a certain respect. No, I would agree with that. And certainly as a female-led comic book movie in the 90s, this was very forward-thinking.
It was pushing
at the time.
The boundaries.
Yeah.
Big time.
Right. So I appreciate that they gave her and gave them a crack at doing this. I just didn't like it.
Yeah.
But I respect what they were trying to do here.
Yeah. Catherine Chadwick was the Hardwick. Is that her name? She goes on to do some pretty big stuff.
Yeah.
She was I don't know what, casting or something, or creative or something. I don't know. She's a pretty high post on this, but.
So this is the point in the movie where we meet Naomi Watts, who probably was the biggest star to come out of this movie.
And no one knew who she was because she's dark haired.
Yeah.
I looked up on IMDb and I'm like, wait, is that her? Because she's blonde and like.
Oh no, and like mostly everything she's in, but yeah, that was her. That was her before King Kong, before The Ring. I'm trying to think of early Naomi Watts movies that were, some of her early stuff. But yeah, she was great. I really liked her in this. And immediately looks like she's a mechanic. She's working on gunships.
And great value John Travolta comes and starts accosting her.
Sergeant Small is creeping on her big time.
Don Harvey is the actual actor name for that.
Yeah.
What a creep.
Yeah.
And he is really skeezy in this.
Yes.
So I guess he did his job really well.
Exactly.
Right. So good kudos to him, I guess.
He's the Ernest Saves Christmas lawyer. Like that. I keep going back to that guy where it's like, we all want to know that he's a skis ball, so we're going to go ahead and make it real clear, real fast.
Yeah, and he's the guy that steps in for Captain Douche as the new guy that's supposed to get the job done.
Yep.
And again, I'm sitting there thinking, why would you ever want this job after what you just saw your boy go through on the glass?
Yeah.
Right? Get Dasani'd. Yeah.
Get Dasani'd.
And the shower curtain doesn't open for him, and he gets wet every time he walks through it.
I know. That dude always looks like he's got wet hair and he's like covered in, all the time.
Yeah, he's my great value John Travolta. That's all I could think of when I saw him. They wanted John Travolta and they couldn't get him. They had to get this
It's too
guy.
small of a part. Well, it looks at this point in the movie like Rebecca's going to get her tank, but she doesn't. She kind of sneaks out of her cell.
She's an idiot. She jumps in the tank, and all she does is kick the screen and hit stuff.
Because she's a moron.
She is a moron.
In an endearing way.
I don't know about endearing.
Who's more of a moron? She or the fact that the boss has one camera screen in his office, and that camera screen is a camera that's pointed inside one tank.
I know.
In the storage unit.
Kesley's sitting there.
Really needed to know what's going on in that tank.
I don't care about the rest of this complex, but I want to see inside that tank at all times.
All times.
They're out there sitting there watching like it's TGIF and Family Matters is on, right? And it's just like sitting there like, what's on tonight? Who's in the tank? Sir, they're gonna take things. Like, it's fine.
That's fine.
And I like you said, this guy's such a gangster. He's literally like, oh, water's in short supply. Let me spray this around the room. He's got a water gun
at one point, and he's got a mister.
He's just firing at nothing. He's shooting it at nothing.
He doesn't care. He's got water.
Just a flex every single scene. He's flexing with water in a different way.
Yeah.
Which is hilarious to me.
Yeah.
I loved all of the bad guy scenes in this movie. They were hysterical.
We get a girl-on-girl kiss, too.
We do.
She saves.
Yeah, because Jet comes in because they're going to fill the tank with gas, and Jet Girl Naomi Watts knows the security code, so she's able to save her before she gets killed. But they don't get the tank. You think, all right, here they go. They're going to take off from this tank, but they don't.
No.
This is just their meeting scene, basically.
And they get out and they get caught.
They get caught, and this is one of the things that I laughed so hard. He's like, all right, it's the tube for you.
Yeah.
The tube.
The pipe.
The tube. Really stupid traps that these bad guys have is a huge movie trope.
The only thing
It's like Austin Powers level
I don't
stupid.
know. I think
is.
the pipe
It
is
is.
pretty terrifying, though.
Really?
if you're claustrophobic, that has to be absolutely one of the worst
And-
things you can ever think
Yeah,
of.
it's not
Really?
clear.
But for
in
me,
this,
it's like, it's a tube.
it's not clear
Yeah.
in this scene, but if the end, not to give anything away, is filling with water, that would be awful.
The fear of drowning is palpable. That's scary.
Yeah.
But just to be like, why don't you lay in this tube for a while?
But
Like,
you can
all
do
right,
that in
I'm
a
asleep.
bucket.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't need to make a 40-meter long tube when when a pail of ice cream, a gallon ice cream tub could do just the same.
Water and power, they have a lot of pipes.
Well, at first I was afraid.
Around. You might as well use
They're
them.
flexing their pipes, flexing the water.
Their pipes. We got lots
This is just
of
an extra pipe we had.
That's pipe doesn't go anywhere anymore, so we're just gonna use it as a torch.
And I was scared at first. I was like, oh man, that seems terrible. And then he threw her in there, and he's like, all right, that's it. I'm
Well,
like,
I will admit the fact that
right.
it was like clear wasn't as scary.
Right.
Because you'd be like, oh, I'm stuck in this tube. But I wouldn't like that very much. Plus, you're upside down, blood goes to your head, you get kind of funky.
I don't know. Afterwards, he pulls her out. And he's like, you like laying in that tube? What's the big deal?
And she's like, I don't care, do whatever.
Yeah,
I'm
she
not
didn't
scared
care.
of you.
Wait a minute, you survived the tube? Nobody survives the tube.
No one survives the tube.
That's it. Next time
That's
we're
right.
putting water in the tube.
Sergeant Small, we need a 50-meter tube.
And when does the line? It
Doesn't even get that small at the end.
It's been swell, but the swelling's gone down. I like
Yes.
that. But
I
when
do
was
like that
that
line.
scene?
I didn't have that on my list. It's one of her better lines though. Well, it's been swell, but the swelling's gone down.
Yeah, I think she said.
Was that when she dips out of there?
One of them. I
Yeah.
don't remember.
Yeah,
It's
but
not great that we can't pin down when our most favorite line was said in a movie. But
okay.
that's because there's so much going on. And you're like, wait, what was happening when? and
because
how?
one scene bleeds into the next. The essentially what happens here is the Rippers now take out one of the water and powers areas, like one of their
Outposts.
sector outposts,
they're
they're
whatever.
using her. They're going to use Tank Girl
Yes,
As bait.
as bait to pull them out.
because there's like in Princess Bride, they got like that lightning sand.
I wrote that down.
Did you?
Yeah.
Okay,
I wrote that down.
nice. That's apparently how you get into
how you
their
get into their
lair.
lair.
So they're gonna drop her through the sand.
Yeah.
Like, this is probably bombed, booby trapped, but whatever, we'll throw you in there.
And as she's walking towards it,
She doesn't even get into it. Yeah, the Rippers
And all
show
of a
up.
sudden, all hell breaks loose, and they're cutting people up. And then you see Kesley's arm, and you're like, wait, did they kill Kesley?
Yeah,
Is he dead?
his arm is gone.
His arm is gone because that watch tracker thing is
Yeah.
on his arm, and his arm's just laying there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good scene.
Spoiler
'cause
alert,
you're
he
like,
just
this
turns
is
into
nuts.
Dr. Claw.
These guys are. What are these Ripper things?
Right, he turns into the guy from Inspector Gadget.
Exactly.
I'll get you next time, Tank Girl.
Yeah. And then Jet Girl, she hides. She escapes the Ripper's attack.
Yeah.
And then she has the longest cigarette holder I've ever seen.
Yeah, she like manifests. Like, where'd she get a telescopic
don't
cigarette
know.
holder and a cigarette? She was there with nothing.
Listen, we've already established that power and water powder, they have a lot of tubes.
They had a lot of true.
So there's
found a
just-
it was just on the
tubes
ground.
everywhere.
She was like, "Oh, perfect, a 9-foot
Use
cigarette
this for
holder,
Cigarette holder.
excellent."
She's smoking that, and
Yeah, and Jet gets a jet, and Tank Girl gets a tank.
Hey, there
right?
you go.
And like we're off and running at this point.
then she goes nuts. She doesn't know what she's doing in the tank. She's moving everything and jumping around.
Yeah, well, this is the thing.
They're heading to Burning Man.
They cues this unintelligible animated sequence
Yeah, it's like a fight.
where she beats up Jet,
yeah, what's that all about?
but you can't really tell what's happening. And I'm like, it's like making me nauseous to watch this.
Yeah, that was bad. I have
Yeah.
long cartoon scene. I didn't even really understand what's happening. Why do they get in a fight? What are they fighting over?
I don't even know.
I can't remember what the fight's over.
Because it wasn't over anything, and they did a
wasn't
terrible
over
job
anything.
explaining what's happening. It's just
This goes into the point where I think
Random.
it was cut so much that there's so much exposition that was,
there's edits in this movie that are so jarring.
that there was something.
There was
in
something
between.
gone. Yes.
Well, apparently the scene where she's in the ice, the freezer.
Yeah.
that was much longer. And
Yeah,
it
and there was like a big joke involved.
really good scene, but
Yeah.
the exec said she was too ugly,
Yep.
and so they didn't want it.
Yeah, I know we kind of skipped over that part,
That's
but before
stupid if that's true, like that's
Yeah.
a dumb thing.
before it was either before or after the tube, they also tried to torture her basically freezing her in a cooler.
Yeah,
She's in a
And there's,
straitjacket.
one
Oh, it was
scene
before the
where he
tube.
comes
Yeah,
in and
before the
talks
tube.
to her.
Right.
That could be where the swelling line is.
Maybe.
But yeah, they probably should have left that in.
Ugh. Well, we go back to the. Oh, go ahead. Yes, some.
No, go ahead.
We go back to the bad guys here, and Kesley has lost an arm, as you said, and then David Lopan shows up.
Oh my gosh.
That
was the
In
moment.
your favorite movie, right?
Big Trouble in Little China, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that was one of those moments where I stood up. I was like, "It's Lopan!
It's Lopan. He's here to give
Yes!
him a new arm.
Oh,
I think the
my
last
gosh,
podcast I listened to was that one. So I was like, oh, I think it's that Lopan guy.
It is, and so Kesley's got like this kabuki mask on,
Yeah, he's got
right?
this
His face is apparently jacked up, and his doctor is this woman. He's like, "What's the prognosis, doc?" And she's like, "It's not good. You're
not
gonna,
good.
You're gonna die."
And look at
and
you.
then Lopan comes in. He's like, check this metal arm I got for you.
It's got little spinny cutty things.
And he's so mad at his doctor, he turns her into a bottle of Ice Mountain.
Kills
Yep.
her. And then Lopan or Chisai cuts his head off.
Yes.
And you're like, what? And then the whole rest of the movie, you're like, what does his new head look like?
Yeah.
And then I'm disappointed.
Well, that's the thing is they hide his head for the rest of the movie because
And not even subtly.
Not subtly.
It's obvious.
No,
we're
it's
hiding
obvious
his
they're
head.
not
He's
showing
behind
you
a
his head.
giant
He pulls the
cathode ray
claw
tube
from
TV at
Inspector
one point.
Gadget for
Yeah.
a good 2/3 of the
see
movie.
That's why.
arm.
No, that's even more of a reference. Yeah, to Inspector Gadget. You don't see his face.
Yeah,
Never see
you
his
see
face,
his
you just see
arm.
his
You see
arm.
him holding the sprayer, and his head is
Right.
covered by a giant TV.
His doctor is the bottle of Aquafina is. Did he drink his doctor?
Well, he couldn't drink anything.
I don't remember. His
just
head
cut
was
off.
was
It was
cut
an
off.
IV, I think.
Ivy,
Yeah.
put that Aquafina into my
me,
bloodstream.
yes.
Put it in. I want it to be in me right now. Oh my gosh.
And then there's another scene. After that, they go to fix up they find that woman.
Subgirl, who was supposed to be
I
a
don't
much.
know. So that was Subgirl.
That
Yeah.
I'm
was
reading
Subgirl?
about Subgirl, and I don't know which character was.
Yeah,
Subgirl.
again, because there's no transitions in this film at all. It's like cut and randomly they're at Subgirl's place.
The worst interaction ever.
It was the dumbest scene.
It was the dumbest, the
Is
most
she a Cusack,
forced.
like of the Cusack?
She's a
thing?
Cusack, yeah.
It was the most forced, the stupidest, the
Yes.
most random. Like, okay, we need to get to point A to point B,
She's got a shotgun on them.
and we're
Yes.
just going to do it the worst possible way and get it over with.
The dumbest thing, and tell me if this is what you're talking about. The dumbest thing is she's got a shotgun trained on
Yes.
Jet Girl
Yes.
and her, and all she does is sneak around in a little
Yes, I
circle,
thought that too.
Rebecca around
Hit her in the
her
head.
with a fish. Mildly inconveniences her in the head, barely hits her.
Just
thought
don't
that
put that
too.
on TikTok.
Why? Oh, it's
Because
violence.
you'll get.
That was.
we get
I thought that's what, like
flagged
this is
for
did
fish
you
on
see
human
her
violence.
going around the table to get behind her to hit her. Like what?
I know. Like you're clearly in front of her,
Yes.
and you just walk away. She does this swimmy thing
Yep.
with the fish, gets up behind her and hits her with it, and my head almost hit the table in
Yeah,
front of
it
me.
was
I
stupid.
was just like, "Come on!"
And she's like-
"This is the best you could think up.
You need to fix up your stuff.
Just do it with dialogue. Just have her. She's about to get shot, and have her tell her we're going against." Water and power, and then she'll drop the gun. You don't have to do this dumb thing where you go around and hit her with the fish.
Doesn't she tell her that's when Sam's been kidnapped?
Yeah, so which the information is conveyed right after this. You could have just done it that way, and it would have been fine.
Right.
And she says, "Well, I'm taking your tank. I need it for my ark." Her sub is the ark. I guess they're all going to get away on. But then as soon as she finds out, oh, you guys are going against water and power. Oh, why don't you use my garage to fix up your tank
Fix everything up.
and use all my metal and all? What about your ark that you needed all that stuff for?
Nah, don't worry about that.
Well, that never comes back, so apparently it's over.
Apparently, she's got all the metal and supplies and insane decorations one could ever need
Why does she have all that decorations?
to put in this tank.
I love
and
that thing,
do they
by the
put a brain inside of this tank?
Yeah, I was totally confused about is this a self-driving tank like Kit? He's
'Cause-
self-aware.
You saw the animated sequence.
Yes.
For like literally half of a second, they show a brain getting put into
Oh, do they?
the tank. Well, I'm not surprised you missed it because it was so fast.
Yeah.
I'm like, they just glossed right over
They
the
gloss
fact.
right over the fact that
Yeah, one of my notes here is like,
the tank
who
is
drives the
sentient.
tank? Because she's never in the tank.
Right. So
Someone else
if you're going to
knows
have the
driving.
tank be autonomous for the
They
rest of the
really need
movie,
to make that clear.
then you better explain how that's happening. But they
Yes.
don't even feel the need to do that.
No, I was confused. as
See what
who's
I'm talking
driving
about?
the tank.
You're just getting, you're getting that wide eye look at
I'm
me.
just-
You're just like, come on.
Man, it's just
come-
basics, like ABCs here
And
of
she's
movies.
fixed it up, and apparently it's like there's an old Cadillac on top of it now, and it's got a seat and a gun, which changes from scene to scene. And
Tell me right now, you wouldn't want to drive Tank Girl's tank.
I would
Oh, no, it's
not.
cool.
It's a piece of junk. I
Oh,
want to
you,
drive that tank. I want a real man's tank.
this
I want a
he.
tank.
So Charles, for those of you who can't see, brought in a model
sure.
tank,
Hold
a
it up.
Tiger, which you can see if you're on our YouTube. But
it is a little
it's
tiger tank.
and it drives around. We were driving it around
RC.
earlier,
Yeah.
and it's one of those would be awesome. But
It was a Stuart tank from World War II, apparently.
Yes.
And then they added Cadillac parts and seats and all kinds of stuff, and
here's the thing:
it was very annoying.
I think this is when I realized why I'm not a huge fan of the character in just the movie. And
Well,
the
you
tone.
never really like her.
Is she's characterized like a 12-year-old. Her humor is like a
Yes.
12-year-old. She sits in, she's like when
It's
she's
funny you
fake
say
shooting guns, and she's like, or she's fake driving, and she's just kicking
Yes.
things and doing like she's like a kid playing in a tank. And if you're going to characterize her like a 12-year-old, then it makes all of the adulty stuff uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
you might
weird.
be right on that. Yeah, because she's
You know
a
what
pretty
I'm
good
saying?
shot. She kills people pretty easily.
Right.
But
But when she, and so there's,
then she acts like an idiot and does things that gets other people in peril.
that's what I'm saying. So
Yeah,
that's
it's exactly
I think
like
why I
working
don't-
with like a
She's
crazy
not a
seventh
hero.
grader.
She's not a hero.
No, she's an anti-hero.
She's an anti-hero. Authoritarian.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
She's anti.
She's anti-life.
She's
stuff.
anti-everything.
except
And that-
weird sex stuff.
Right. When you characterized her as a 12-year-old, basically, is what makes that all the
Yes.
sex stuff really weird to me, personally.
Yeah. And then how about the Liquid Silver Sex Club?
Yeah, well, that's what we're getting. So
I got nothing.
they go to
I got nothing.
they go to
All
this
my
place
notes-
called Liquid Silver.
I apologize. Yeah, I have all these notes, and I just have this gap.
It's just a Liquid Silver.
Yeah.
nothing.
And you
Colon.
get- she's
Space.
Dot. I don't know.
And you got a second montage, like you had the tank fix up montage. Then
Yeah.
you go to another montage of her trying on stripper clothes to come up with her outfit.
Yeah, so this is what's really dumb about this is she gets the piece of information that Sam, the little girl, has been taken to Liquid Silver, and that the
And that
madam
she's
has
gonna
her.
she's 10 and she's gonna be given to some pervert. who wants
Yeah,
to
well,
use-
Iggy
because
Pop.
there's this
That's
person.
It's Iggy Pop.
It says Iggy Pop, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's basically this person has the madam is who has control of Liquid Silver, and she runs this place.
Yes.
And there's just strippers everywhere, and it's kind of crazy.
A lot of pasties.
And this is what's so dumb, just from a movie making standpoint. The whole scene consists of her going into the dressing room, like you said, of a strip club,
Right.
trying on a bunch of costumes. Then she finds the girl in 5 seconds and does a Cole Porter dance number. And
the
that's
girl-
literally the whole
The
scene.
girl escapes by herself basically because she has that. It's a nice callback to
Yeah.
that toy bomb
Phantasm.
stabbing thing.
Stabbing
The
ball.
Phantasm
Yeah.
globe.
Oh, that's
Yep.
what it's called. So that's nice. But she gets away on her own.
It's a
She's like,
reference.
and it's
But I'm
like
like, this is how you
it's
wrote-
like the most stupid hug ever. Like, oh, we're supposed to hug, and it's like, wait, how do we do it? And
Right, but that's how you do the rescue. They come in, try on a bunch of clothes.
No,
Literally,
no.
she walks out of the dressing
rescue-
room. The girl is right there.
James, the rescue's the song.
But it's so random.
Then we go into a really weird, like 30s set piece song.
There's a whole
Well,
dance
it is an
number.
old song they do.
There's a whole
She
dance
makes
number.
the madam sing, and then they all sing, and they do a whole
And
thing.
they sing.
Right. And then Sergeant Small is like, is that Cole Porter? Kill everybody downstairs.
And I write, what the hell is going on? Question mark, exclamation
Imagine if
point.
they'd sang Frank Sinatra or something
And
like
apparently
that.
that was longer. And after the
Yeah.
test screenings, they made him cut that back.
But isn't this with all musicals though? I mean, what spurs most
No.
songs?
But
in
why is
musicals?
It's
there
not that the
musical
song
in this?
It's not that the song is random, like because musicals have random songs all the time. It's the fact that there's a musical number at all is what's
Yes.
random
That's the
in
problem.
this movie.
I see. Yeah,
And that's the way they chose. Okay, how are we gonna have Tank Girl get her out of here?
musical.
We're gonna
And
do
they're
a
not
musical
even-
number.
Most of the musical, they don't got guns or anything. They're not like holding anybody hostage.
No.
They're all dancing and singing.
And the fact that you got there, you waste 5 minutes of everybody's time on this dress montage, and you just walk out the door and find the girl. She's in the hallway.
Yes.
Oh, hey, what's up? Well, let's get out of here.
Yeah. But no, we need to sing.
But you wouldn't get a montage of her trying on all those clothes,
Right.
I mean,
But it was served no purpose in the film.
no, it didn't.
So much of this.
And while
there's so
they're
many
singing-
cul-de-sacs.
And while
okay?
they're singing, Sam is captured.
All
So
right,
it's
hang
a
on.
dumb idea.
Yes, there's so many cul-de-sacs in this movie.
Yeah,
Okay, which from a writing standpoint, you want to get rid of all your cul-de-sacs. It's the scenes that you come out where you came in and nothing has moved forward at all, right? Think of it. You're driving down the street, you turn down a cul-de-sac, you come
right
back
back.
and you're going,
Yeah.
and that's it. Yeah. And that scene, that specifically the dressing room scene, is a cul-de-sac.
Do you know why it was there? This is my two thoughts on why it was there. It's fan service to the outfits that made that.
Yeah, she's got like 40 outfits or something.
Yeah, that made that comic book strip popular.
I'll chew my ice while he's blowing his nose.
Get that out of the way.
We can do ASMR now.
Okay, go ahead.
So it's fan service to that stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, the comic books was
She had a lot
very
of
much
outfits.
stylized.
Yeah.
It was about the outfits.
Okay.
It was about the hair. I mean, that was a big part of that culture. And granted, they did a lot of that stuff. I mean, she had like, I don't know how many different, she had like 11 wigs. She had 40 different outfits, I think she had.
That's too much.
But that was the reason. That was the sticking to the source material.
Right.
I'm not saying they done it well. I get that. I'm not arguing that point. But I'm just saying some of these cul-de-sacs in this movie are them like highlighting those aspects of the original source material, and in the worst possible way, because it didn't help the story whatsoever.
You've got to figure out a way to do that in service to the story.
I know.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
Right. But I understand what you're saying.
That's why that was there.
I understand.
They wanted to see Tank Girl wear a bunch of different outfits for some weird reason. They went, all right, we'll just do it like this.
All right. So as you said, Sam is immediately re-kidnapped.
Right. Because they're messing around.
And so it doesn't serve any purpose at all, really.
Yeah, I get that.
She's taken away. And so they go to find the Rippers. Like, we're gonna find the Rippers
to help us
to fight water and
There's
power.
not a lot of explanation, because up to this point they're all still scared of the Rippers. So why do they think the Rippers would even help them to begin
Well,
with?
because she's
The enemy of my enemy is my friend.
That's right.
There you go. I guess that's possible.
And so they go down through the sand, and again, one of the most jarring edits is they come down the sand, and then it cuts to them inside of a bowling ball cell with no in between at all.
Room.
This is when we find out that they're kangaroos. The Rippers are mutant kangaroos that were constructed to fight wars.
Which one of you guys is going to make the iced tea joke about being in a post-apocalyptic world with no water?
I think you just did.
Who's it?
Yeah.
I think you literally just now.
Okay.
That was it.
I just want to know if you're going to make that joke, or you're going to make that.
Oh, no, that you saw.
Why do they need water when they've got iced tea?
Yeah. Okay. So you're going to do. Okay. All right. James is going to do the joke about iced tea in the water world.
It would be awesome if they had one of those like water sucker things, but it was like an Arizona can, and they would like stick it into iced tea, and it would have filled up with.
my God.
Been awesome.
Nice.
Had like a little lemon.
Had a little lemon
Iced
floating
tea.
around in it.
I have iced tea as a kangaroo ?
I don't know if I've ever loved anything more than iced tea as a kangaroo.
I loved it.
It's super dumb, but
I
it was
loved it.
surprisingly satisfying.
It's just weird.
Booga was good. I like Booga.
Booga was the best of them.
Yes.
You just said what sums up this whole thing.
Yeah.
It's satisfying but dumb.
Yes.
That sums up
That one aspect of it. Yes.
That's how I feel about this whole movie.
So we got to start hitting the gas on this, because we're already at an hour.
Yeah,
so we can't. But if you got really important things, stop me. But long story short, the Rippers overhear that there's a weapons shipment coming in that they want to hijack. Okay, and they send Rebecca to investigate it as an initiation, because she's trying. I want to join with the Rippers, and they don't trust humans at all.
Right.
And so the iced tea, first of all, can I just say, is a very unlikable in this movie, because no matter what happens, he's always like, "Nah, man, that's not true. They probably just doing that to trick us, man. They're probably not out there taking pictures. Nah, man, it's probably not weapons. It's a trap, man.
Yeah.
Nah, man, we probably ain't in a bowling alley. They just want us to think it's a bowling alley, but it's a trap. We living in a trap, man." Like, that's him for the whole movie.
Yeah.
Right?
Mr. Negative guy.
Mr. Every single
Everything.
scene.
Yes.
Like, dude, come on, man. Have some faith.
Yeah. It's weird. It's a mess. It's weird, and I'm weird.
I loved Reggie Cathy.
Yeah.
I mean, he seems
he was great.
I think
DT?
He has played that character for his almost entire career.
It's amazing you can see it's him immediately. Even through the makeup, you're like, oh, that's
him.
Yeah.
I thought they did really well. The costuming of the Kangaroo Men was really good.
Yeah, well, Stan Winston. Is just the man,
this is all about Stan Winston. He did the makeup.
Yeah.
He took a 50% pay cut.
Yeah.
To do this film.
And apparently all the ear stuff was radio controlled, and it was all.
That's awesome.
It's really well done.
Yeah, they basically described it as wearing a sofa.
So they do this dumb thing. Oh, that's right. Wearing the makeup was like wearing a sofa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw that. That's got to be miserable.
Yes. And you're in this movie for it too.
And you're trying to act and do all this stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
So one of the dumb aspects of this, like, they give her an earpiece and they're like, "How am I going to talk to you?" She's like, "Just speak West." I'm like, bro,
That's so dumb.
So dumb. Why can't you just have a two-way?
And she takes.
Oh no, we'll be able to
pictures,
hear
and
you.
You're like, that's not real. And then why does she take a picture of her underwear? And
To
they're like,
prove that it's her.
I don't know.
Because they're
That's the whole
horny
thing is
kangaroos, man.
They are.
Here's
They
my-
really are.
Here's
They are.
my description of the sexual humor in this movie. Here it is. Sexual humor
Boobs.
in this movie is like a 13-year-old sexual fantasy gone wild after looking at National Geographic too long.
That is perfect.
Holy
perfect.
crap! Yes.
Because
Yes.
especially later
Hold
when
on
they're
a second. That's round of applause. That's a perfectly summed
Thank
up
you.
version.
Yes.
later on when they're praying, it's like instead of dirty dancing, it's like dirty praying.
Praying
It's
thing was
humping.
awful.
When he comes
Music,
out
that was
there
the
and he
worst
just
music
starts
in
like
the movie.
humping
He's like, I got
Naomi
condoms,
Watts.
Don't worry. And he's like humping her, and she's like,
That's my dance.
I felt like imagine being Naomi Watts and shooting that scene.
she
And
apparently did not like this movie.
A giant kangaroo
She was
is just
Yes.
dry
humping you on the right on the dance floor. And you're like, I'm getting paid for this. I'm getting paid for this. Like, this is what she's saying.
Twerking and grinding
Both
on the
thinking
others.
that.
That's what they're both thinking.
Ice-T's just sitting there watching him. He doesn't pray, apparently.
He's like, nah, man, we don't dance. That's what they
probably
want
a
us to
trap.
do. It's a trap.
and he does that. TD does that weird prayer.
Yeah.
No, weird song.
Yeah.
And then this
the
is one of the.
saxophone?
This is a bad scene, right? He's like, "Let's pray," and all you see is Tank Girl and Jet Girl and TD in the middle, and then he turns around and walks away, and you're like, "What's happening?"
Nothing.
And then they go to the next scene, and they're dancing, and then you're like, "What are they? Why are they doing that?" Then you realize this is their.
This
prayer.
is their prayer.
Yes.
Yeah,
That
right.
was bad movie
It's
making.
terrible.
Yeah.
But her big plan to photograph the weapons is to do a Men of Power or Water and
I
Powers
thought that was funny.
calendar shoot. That
That's
was
her
fun.
best acting in the whole movie.
Right, where she's playing like
Yes.
a fashion photographer.
Pictures, and she's like, "Pictures."
But then even then, Ice was like, nah, man, it's a trap. Those aren't real calendar shots. You're going to make her hijack it herself. I'm like, this guy sucks.
yes. Yeah.
Like, what else does she have to do?
Question
else
to the
does she
matter.
have to do?
Yes.
Quick question. What month do you think, if Bad Movies Rule had a calendar,
Yeah.
what month do you think you would be, James?
Oh, I would be April.
You'd be April?
I would
You're
be April.
You're like a spring chicken type of feeling
Not
going
that
on?
I'm a spring chicken. I'm bipolar. So, like the weather is like, I'm not, point of fact, I'm not actually bipolar. I'm just,
I'd be February because I talk way too much about my past love interests.
one day it's snowing. The next day it's raining.
Yes.
The next day it's 80 degrees.
Yes.
Right.
I see
So,
myself as an autumn, like September,
Yeah.
October.
Sure.
Gotcha.
I'm just saying.
Kurt would be December because he's got a toy store.
Because
Yes. Yes.
perfect.
Not Kurt. Clint.
No, Kurt would be December. I think, but he's still really into toys. Clint would be, he'd be like a July, like an August. No, like
Yeah.
a hot and sweaty August
Yeah.
would be Clint.
Bob would just be like the third week of June.
You're like, March 32nd, whatever. It's not
Right.
even a real day, but
Love it.
he's not even a month. He's just a day.
Yeah. So Ice-T Kangaroo makes her
Yep.
hijack the weapons herself. And she finally uses the tank. The movie's called Tank Girl. It's the
I know,
first scene
there's very little tank in this
where
movie.
she finally uses the tank to chase down the semi-truck full of weapons.
And then the scenes here just nuts. They're cutting between her in, out, doing all kinds of stuff.
Yes, she's up there firing the gun. Then it cuts and she's inside the tank. Then it
got a
cuts and
bow
she's
and
on the
arrow.
gun again.
It's just nuts.
Terrible.
Yes.
And I know Rachel wants to blame the studio.
That's her, though. She filmed that.
And the studio
Studio
wants to
didn't
blame
film that.
them. And,
Yes.
and the writers want to blame them.
It's
and-
it's everybody's got to
Truck
bear
was
the
way
weight.
too much like Mad Max with the giant cow catcher on front. And
Right.
All that stuff.
The first
Why-
one through
also-
the wall takes it in the teeth.
Can I just ask a question?
Go ahead.
So she's chasing down this truck with her tank. The tank is autonomous, and so she basically is just it drives itself, and she's firing the guns and stuff. And there is that really kind of cool shot of her laying across the barrel as it points
that was
into the
good.
window of the truck. I'm like, that's pretty awesome. But
And that was dumb.
why are they driving a truck straight down a road towards a cliff?
Yeah, that was my question.
Because there's no turnoffs.
What was their plan either? Like, what
Where are
was
they
the bad guy
delivering
gonna
those
do?
guns? They're
Yeah.
they were just headed for that cliff, man.
Yeah, she's like, "There's a cliff. Look out!" And then I thought, well,
Why?
the same route. She didn't change the route. They were going the same direction. Those guys were just going to drive off the cliff too.
And at no point do you see intersections or other turnoffs or anything. They
That
were
was-
just
that was
driving
really
these
dumb.
weapons towards a cliff.
It's like we just need to have something for her to do.
Exactly.
And Jack Girl doesn't even
That's
rescue
exactly what it is.
Right.
They just like the
her. That's bad movie making.
Yep.
what's that BMX? No, it wasn't a BMX.
Winners take all.
Winners take all. We just need to create a conflict.
Yes.
You know, it's like, oh, you're sitting on my bike. Oh, we're enemies now.
I bet Billy could sit on my bike.
That'll never get old. That's the same crap that they do in
Yes.
these movies. And they still do it to these days.
No, they do.
They just need to create some tension, some conflict. So they just throw something in there. Now, the good movies throw something there that, you know, is actually, it makes sense. It's part of the storyline. But the ones that don't do it, this is what you get. You just get the random, hey, by the way, there's a cliff here.
Yeah.
Right.
The random cliff.
And so she parachutes. Well, I'm skipping ahead
not
far.
yet.
So not yet. Because what happens is in the boxes, there's no weapons. It's actually the body of Johnny Prophet.
And they're really,
The guy
really
who
sad.
created
the
kangaroo
Rippers.
guys. Yeah.
And so we find out at every step of the way, we don't know why yet, the bad guys know what's happening with the Rippers and Tank Girl.
Everything. Yeah.
And so it's all a setup. Everything is a setup.
You think it's Jet Girl?
Maybe.
That could be the
That was. I thought that was a good scene. The kangaroo dudes are howling in sadness, which it goes on a little long, but they're howling, and then you just see Kesley sitting there with his arm and his mister, and he's just laughing.
But you don't see his face.
You don't see his face
because he's Dr. Claw now.
He's just I like that part. I had.
Yeah.
They find Prophet's body. They are sad. Kesley is happy.
But they're like, we're assaulting the main base. Like immediately they're like, it's on,
We're
right?
going.
We're going. And through a hodgepodge of terrible editing and sequencing, it's so Tank Girl parachutes in
the most obviously colored, like you could see that miles away.
and she's not protected by anything. I always love these scenes where people are just hovering over.
Yeah, like that's the most vulnerable place for parachutists to be is low ground in fire range.
The tank is going on its own. It's never shot in a way that helps the audience to know spatially where everyone is in relation to each other and what's going on. The Rippers go in separately. And
they pull a Star Wars Guten and Hoth.
Right.
You know.
They got to bring down the deflector shields so the Tank Girl can come in.
Yeah, that's all it really was.
Right.
She comes in, she shoots everybody.
And so the Rippers are like ripping through guards, you know, no pun intended, inside and trying to take over the place and DT gets shot and killed in a blaze of glory.
And they're flying in on a stolen ship they got.
Right. Oh, that is, I actually thought Naomi Watts' performance.
Yeah, because the Ripper guy can't talk.
Like, doesn't understand how to repeat words that are said directly to him. All right, repeat these words. We're coming in Sector 4, got a bad, actuator or whatever, a bad motivator. And we're all fine here now.
Star Wars ripoff right there.
But I thought she was great when she finally lost it on the guy. So I had no problems with Naomi Watts in this movie.
5 this rocket up your socket.
That's right. But we finally get to the point where Tank Girl finds Kesley and we finally see his
and
face.
I'm like, what's this gonna look like?
Exactly the same.
Exactly the same.
But
you're
there's
like,
a twist because it's not really his face.
Yes,
it's a
holographic head.
Right,
but where does his brain go? He needs his brain still. They stuff it down inside of him somewhere.
Exactly.
It's in his butt.
It's in his ass.
It's in his butt.
That's got to be a cliche. I mean, that's the trope. That's a trope. I mean, having a holographic head instead of an actual head. I mean,
that's in every movie.
Done.
How many times? Thousands of movies. Thousands of movies.
I was so disappointed in that.
Marlon Brando played a hologram head one time. Well, here's the thing. Why hide his head if it looks exactly the same?
I know, it's stupid.
There's no point to hide. You can have him come back and
it's like
he looks the same. Like, oh, what happened? Because he looks the same. And then you still, the mystery is still there.
It's the most unremarkable reveal ever. I was so disappointed. I'm like, oh.
Let the reveal instead be the punch that doesn't hit because it's a hologram.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But when you hide somebody's head, you build this anticipation that he's going to look different. And when he doesn't, all it does is let down the audience.
Yes, very much. And even if it's a holographic, you're like, well, that's dumb.
Yeah.
And I don't know where his brain would go. You need that. It's a pretty important part of your body.
Not for him.
No, I guess not.
Good.
He's got a water gun.
He's got a water gun.
And water's not a very effective weapon.
No.
But in this case,
Although it kills him.
it does. It does.
Shorts him out. Didn't think through that real well.
He's got his Dr. Claw arm that can just cut through.
He better make sure his
He's got these
water
like butterfly flitters on the thing.
If he can be shorted out by water down his holographic neck, he better be careful when his water curtain door that's off before he walks across.
Instant death.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Well, crap, Kesley's shorted out again because of his door. We better come on, get the reboot thing, get him ready, get him going again.
Get the jumper
Get
cable.
the head.
Jumper cables right.
Turn his head on.
We got to turn that to a dust shower.
I just picture him walking around with headless, just like.
I know.
How does he see? The hologram doesn't have
There's
eyes.
so many problems
Right?
with that. It's so dumb.
It's really stupid.
I'm not arguing against that.
It gets stupider.
The big reveal here is Kesley speaks from his holographic mouth and his non-existent vocal cords that Tank Girl has microphones implanted all over her body.
Yes.
Ha 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 ha. We've been able to see
Where?
everything.
Maybe that's why they knew she was in the tank when she first tried to escape.
Maybe. Well, at that point, he already had the
I
microphones.
think he probably already had.
Or do you
the
think
microphone.
right before she was sent down to the Reaper's
Rippers.
hole, she was shot with that little thing?
Oh, that's right. Because
Maybe that whole thing was that.
Yeah,
Oh,
could be.
yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right.
We're treated to an extended sequence of her shooting beer cans at Malcolm,
That was so.
Do you think it was Foster?
which he blocked.
Fast beer is what it's called?
But he's just like blocking it like it's
how-
no problem. First of all, it's not coming very fast at him. Like, a production assistant is just chucking beer cans at him
She
from off
shoots him
camera.
too, and he blocks the bullets that way too.
Right.
But he's old, so he's like.
But the beer can, as it's coming in,
Foster beer.
it looked like
It's Australian for
some
beer.
like fat electrician is just like
Just
And do they
underhanding
not?
them.
underhanding up to him.
Do they not think we know that shells and tanks they have propulsion, they have powder in them to shoot the projectile?
The prevailing thread in this movie is that it thinks we know and understand nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Because how do beer cans fire?
I don't know. You put things in a tank and it shoots it. Isn't that how it works?
I guess
I mean,
so.
you kick a screen and it works.
So she shoots beer cans all over him.
Listen,
Yeah.
there is some issues. I'm just going to say this
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah,
I'm going to go on the stand and say that this movie had some issues.
Oh, what a leap to make.
Right?
What a brave leap. So brave.
So this is one of them, shooting the cans. There was one that we kind of glossed over. I don't know if you guys even
Oh, tell
caught
me
it,
about
but
it.
I love catching these little movie mistakes.
Yes.
And a lot of the movie was a mistake, but I still love it. Actual mistakes in the film process, all the wires that were exposed during the fight scene between the the kangaroo men and the soldiers.
guys falling off stuff.
Dude, no, all the wires that were still attached to their because they're supposed to be jumping.
Yeah.
So you can see the carabiners.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, it
Yeah.
would go back and they're
Oh, yeah. You
everywhere.
can see it
I
all.
can't go back because I rented it and it's expired.
Can't
And
he?
I'm not-
Not only can't, he won't
I
go
won't
back.
go back.
I
So,
won't go back.
so when you're watching this, if you ever do decide to rent this movie and watch it, look for the wires. But yes, I don't know why. I don't know. Maybe in the future, 2033 Foster beer has a thing of gunpowder on the back side
Apparently
of
there's
them.
an alternative ending too, which I didn't look at because I didn't care.
Oh,
but I did like
Didn't
that.
care.
I like that she sucks the water out of him. I thought that was nice.
Yeah, but here's the problem with this because yes, it's a nice callback because he had
he'd done
previously
that,
done that to a couple people, but every time it happens, when he does it the two times and this time, it just happens to be there. The first time when he Dasani'd the Captain Douche, he literally just it's in his hand. He manifested in his hand.
Yeah.
Same thing when he's laying on an operating table with the doctor. Right, his hands are at his sides.
Right.
She says something he doesn't like, and then he just comes out of nowhere. Boom.
His henchman did that to the doctor.
Oh, he did.
Maybe they just carry him around. It's an emergency water source.
And then in this one, the third one, it just happens to be laying next to him while he lays there.
He probably carries him.
Now, I love the poetic.
Got like a belt of them.
I love the poetic
His favorite thing to do. Man.
justice of him becoming a bottle of Aquafina right there on the given what he had done.
Right.
But the fact that it's always just there,
Yes.
super dumb.
Can I say something?
And he drinks it. Does she drink it?
I don't know if she drinks it.
This is how
I don't
much,
like Aquafina.
This is how much I don't remember this movie.
Keslafina?
Okay, nice. This is how much I actually don't remember this movie, where I thought I remembered the movie, but I was completely wrong. I thought this movie had the plot line is the water, if you drank it, it makes you more thirsty. What movie was that from?
I have no idea.
I don't know.
It could have been this movie. You just wanted it to be better back then, and you put that in your mind.
No, there probably is a movie like I just can't think of it off the top of my head.
Yeah, but I put those two movies together.
Gotcha.
And I'm confused.
So you're the second person that's not 100% clear on this movie, including my wife, who thought she really wanted to see this movie, and this was not a movie she knew of. So apparently this movie has very little power to stay in one's minds correctly.
Well, once she makes Kesley into a pack of Aquafina, they win, and Booga is the new general. I don't know. He comes in, and now he has control of the troops.
Yep.
He took their bullets. Who knows?
Yeah, that was super confusing. Why would they?
I don't know.
Who cares? That's what I said.
I
I
took
was
their
like,
bullets. Did I do good? And I'm like, well,
why would they come in and point the guns at her?
And
all
why
that
would
stuff?
they be on his side?
Right. And that's literally the end of the movie.
The end of the movie.
It's so abrupt.
Yep.
It's like, I took their guns. Did I do good? Yeah, you did good. Cue horrible animated sequence. End credits.
That's right.
All right, so that was a good show, guys. Please come next time. Next show we have what movies next?
Hold on, we got to do
What?
the little things.
Oh, we're not done yet. Okay.
No, we're not done. We got
sorry.
to. We're contractually obligated to give
This
awards.
isn't an
We have to give
inappropriate-
awards to this movie, Joe.
This is kind of
Yeah.
a weird, inappropriate little thing, but it comes up a lot in this movie.
yeah.
Is apparently there's a love scene. Well, there is a love scene between
her and the
kangaroo.
And Booga.
And someone thought it was a good idea to spend $5,000 on a kangaroo penis
Bingo.
in the shot, and the executives came in and said, "No, we can't do that."
Yep.
So I'm going to blame the original director. Going, you should have known probably
That wasn't going to
that
fly.
wasn't going to fly.
No.
Literally, no pun intended.
That's
Yeah, and it's stupid.
so dumb.
Why do I want to see that? And apparently it's 12 inches.
Nobody wants to see it.
Apparently.
Apparently.
Hold on, I shouldn't say that. There's people out there that are probably into that.
Yeah.
Somebody wants to see it. But when you're
don't.
thinking of the general audiences of America.
Well, yeah, it's just stupid. Like, who cares about that?
Right.
So my little things.
Yes.
I learned something
Oh, what'd you learn?
that you can't trust movies.
This movie taught you that?
So as
I learned when I watched Megaforce that
Yeah,
you
I know.
can't trust
I learned
movies.
when I watched Bugger Banzai. I know. Bad movies in the world.
I just want to go on a record and
Yes.
say, because of Super Troopers, I thought that the allow scene was done with powdered sugar.
Oh.
Oh.
Because I don't know why, I just didn't question it. I was like, oh, okay, it's powdered sugar, whatever. Never came up. I never sat on I had a conversation. I was like, oh, like I told somebody.
That comes up very often.
It doesn't come up at all. But, but in my head, just a little nugget, I thought it was just, I'm like, oh, this is powdered sugar. Maybe that's what the, deal
Yeah.
No, it was like DDT.
Yes.
Yeah, it was
Do you think
DDT. It was an insecticide. That
You think Andy Dufresne came into Shawshank and got hit with a pack of sugar?
Nope. Yep. So I'm just saying that, during this process of me watching it last night with a buddy of mine that was supposed to be here, but he's unfortunately sick.
Yeah.
That he was like, no, man. He's like, no, that's not powdered sugar at all. So
bro.
this movie
Was he
taught
sick
me.
because he saw this movie?
He saw it and he's like, I'm not going
He's
to go.
Emotionally traumatized. He needed a mental health
Yeah.
day after
We
watching
were going to have a
this.
brand new guest. Victor was going to be his first time on the show.
Yep.
We'll have to get him in at another time.
Yeah.
The thing that I only had one little thing that I noticed that makes me laugh every time I see it, because it always just means that either they had the stunt coordinator wasn't there that day, or they just didn't have somebody on set that knew what they were doing. But whenever I see military personnel doing really dumb things that they would never do, it always makes me laugh. Yeah. And so way back in the beginning, when that SWAT team comes in and kills everybody, and she's still out there messing with the guard that,
Right.
tried to hook up with her or whatever, the SWAT team comes running out of the house and they're just firing in the air.
Yeah.
Like
Yes,
this.
yes.
Like back and forth.
The Harrier just lights up the entire building with the SWAT team still in it.
With it, so exactly. That's the other thing.
Yeah.
They're just like literally like they're trying to shoot birds out of the sky or something.
There's another good scene there where she shoots two guys on the steps,
Yeah.
and they both just leap over the railings opposite sides, and it's like obvious that they're doing
Right.
that. That was great.
Oh,
And that
I've been
shack
shocked.
apparently is impenetrable to Gatling guns because it didn't. Those are holes in it.
Nothing.
Yeah, it
It's
was weird.
impervious. Bulletproof.
Bulletproof.
Bulletproof wood.
Bulletproof shack in the middle of nowhere.
All right. Well, it's time to give some awards out to Tank Girl. If you didn't think we had a hard job, then you've never had to sit here and figure out who to give an award to in a movie like this.
Yeah.
So we are going to start, as we always do, with the Will Patton Award for intensity to our actor that was the most dialed in, the most intense, the most just 100% in what they were doing. You got one? Go for it.
I'm going to give it to Reg Cathy.
Reg
as
Cathy.
DT. I thought he played that role really well. He was all in on that.
He did.
He sold it. He played his own saxophone. He brought that there. That wasn't part of it. He wanted to do that.
He's like, I know I'm a kangaroo from the future.
I thought he played that.
I can play a sax.
What if I just rip a sax solo in the middle of this weird movie?
He owned that part. I thought he was really good at that. He was really intense. He was always on.
Yes.
When he was on.
For sure. What do you got?
I'm not saying no to that.
Yeah.
But I kind of hard to believe that you picked that one as an intense actor when Lori Petty was absolutely insane the entire time.
Yeah.
She was.
That was her character, was to be over the top.
Over the top.
Dialed
Intense.
to 13.
Yeah. No, she was. But I didn't pick her either. In fact, none of us picked the same person.
I'm picking Lori Petty.
Okay.
I could see that.
That's
I can
for the Will Patton Award.
Come on.
We're going to have a 3-way tie then for the Will Patton Award, which is fine.
Fine.
It doesn't happen very
Whatever.
often.
Right.
But I had Malcolm McDowell.
I'll give Vic a call.
Malcolm McDowell.
Yeah, I could see that.
Just
Too.
based off that first scene alone.
Yeah, he was good.
He was good too.
When
he was good too.
He was in it. I mean, didn't seem like he was sleepwalking through it. He gave it its due attention and was doing his thing and spoke highly of his experience making the movie.
Seemed to like it.
You know.
But the scenes with Malcolm and Lori in them, I thought that Lori was more over the top than Malcolm.
I don't know, man. Apparently, he put up with a lot of her wisecracks and garbage.
Oh,
but
sure.
the man doesn't like booger jokes because as soon as she made a joke about a booger in his nose, that's when he pulled the gun and he was ready to blow her away.
right.
I was like, oh, you found his
I
weak
have
spot.
a limit.
A booger, and that's so
Maybe
dumb.
he was very self-conscious about his nasal cavity.
Maybe he was.
Yeah.
She found the pressure
Found
point
it.
and
Like
pushed.
he's in there with a neti pot,
I
every
did not-
night, with his water.
What'd you see?
I did not know he was. Is he the bad guy in Clockwork Orange?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's him.
That's a disturbing.
All right, our next award is the Michael Dudikoff Trash Can Full of Dirt Award, which we give to the worst actor in the movie whose performance was most like that of a trash can
I
filled
have
with
one
dirt.
for that too.
We got
Sam, the little girl.
That's who I picked. I had
was not a good
Stacey
actress.
Lynn Ramsower
Yeah,
as Sam.
she wasn't good.
As Sam?
Little girl.
Little girl was bad.
Oh, wait, what?
She was terrible,
she was
man.
terrible.
Ann Cusack as Subgirl?
She was also bad.
Can't.
I had a short list. I had a
She's got
short list
that
of 3, and
Cusack
she was
charm,
on there.
though.
You had,
She was supposed to be a much bigger part, and they cut it down. So
Sam
I didn't
was
want to
bad.
judge her performance off the one scene they decided to leave in because she had a lot more.
Sam was bad all the way through.
But Sam was bad. It was like green eggs and ham. She was bad on the swing. She was bad in the park. She was bad in the house. She's bad in liquid silver.
She's bad at
Oh my gosh.
She's
Right.
bad. She's
I mean,
a trash can.
Iggy Pop didn't even get a reference on that one, and he literally played Ratface.
I know. Who'd you pick?
I'm still sticking with Ann Cusack.
Okay, Ian Cusack. All right, that's fine. That's fine.
Trash can Sam.
All right, the subjective award is for the top 3 performers. This is the people that we personally enjoyed the most. And so I can start us off on this one. I had Lori Petty at number 3.
Okay.
There were some things about her character that I found really obnoxious, why she wasn't number 1, but I wanted to respect the fact that she fully was committed to the film and did a really good job. I had Jeff Kober at number 2 as Booga,
Even my list is exactly the same.
and Malcolm McDowell at number 1.
The same.
Look at that.
That's impressive.
All right.
I'm different.
All right. Well, let's hear it, Joe.
All right, so I want to do 2 of them.
All right, do it.
I want to do 2 of them because there's no rules in this.
2
We
lists.
make the rules in this.
That's right.
In this place.
The podcast police might kick in the door
I don't care.
and take our podcast away from us, but go ahead.
So my if there's like an A team and B team.
Okay.
A team I have 3 and B team I have 3.
Wow.
So
You liked 6 people in this
6
movie?
people?
yeah,
in this
yeah.
movie?
So I would say B team, Reggie Cathy,
Okay.
James Hong. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Listen, he was in like one dialogue part.
I don't care. It's Lopan. Like ever since we did.
They had the
Why is he even in this movie?
They had the
Big Trouble in Little China. I am now a Lopan fan.
They had that automatic interpreter on him, but then
Yes.
it only worked in one of the two scenes he was in. The one where he took off his head, he's speaking and not being translated
Yeah, I
at
didn't
all.
understand what's happening. Was he supposed to be understood there?
I don't know.
I don't know.
But then the final one for Team B would be Malcolm McDowell.
Okay.
Put him on B?
Under
Close.
James Hong?
Close. Okay.
Wow.
Then my A team,
All right.
top 3, Lori Petty, number 1, Naomi Watts, and then Ice-T. That's
it's a weird
that's my
list.
top 3.
That's a weird list.
It's subjective.
It is
It's his, up to
subjective.
him.
Don't you
All right.
dare.
All right. I won't. I told my.
That's for
fight
him.
you.
That's for him.
I was just telling my daughter we shouldn't use the word weird about things. We should just say it's different.
No,
so
we
I
could say it's
apologize.
weird.
It's different than
It's a
mine.
Minnesotan thing. Oh, that's different.
Hey, dear, it's different there.
So your list is different.
Yeah.
All right. So, what now that we look back at this thing? The movie is a smoking carcass behind us after we've bombed it from the skies.
Yeah, we haven't been very kind.
Is this movie? Would you say that it's a good movie? Full stop. Is it a bad movie that rules, or is it just a straight up bad movie? What do you guys think?
Wait, I think you said
Final
bad movie,
verdict.
full stop.
No, is it a good movie? Full stop. A bad movie that rules, or just a straight up bad movie?
All right, can I say one thing before we
Yeah.
do that? I really like Jeff Kober's performance. I thought he was really good, and his ears when he's talking about, I don't remember what, but it was very emotional in his ears. That was really good.
When they're cuddling. Yeah.
So there were things in this movie. I did laugh out loud at the scene with the photograph thing. I thought that was funny. It's kind of a trope, but it's funny. Works.
Yeah.
I thought that was Lori Petty's best acting because she actually wasn't just nuts all over. I'll transition into whether this is a bad movie rules, or good movie. This is a bad movie.
Straight up.
Okay.
Straight up bad movie.
Okay.
There's nothing that rules about this movie.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with you about that. I won't say there's nothing. I always try to find at least something that's good about it, and I think there are redeemable things in pockets of moments,
None of them to me are like, I'm going to go back and watch.
but none of it makes it enough that it overcomes or that I ever go back to it again.
like
You're
literally,
right.
I watched this movie 2 days ago, and there's parts I cannot remember. Like I'm trying to think about.
I
when
appreciate
things
Lori
happened.
Petty's performance. I appreciated Malcolm Dowell's performance.
Yes.
It's too unintelligible the way that it's put together. The filmmakers, whether it's the studio or the director or the writers or a combination, probably most likely of all three, they all can't get out of the way enough to make the movie enjoyable. For me. Just for me.
Yeah.
All right. How about you, Joe?
So I'm trying to leave this movie on a slightly higher note.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say this is a bad movie that rules.
Okay.
All right.
That is my take on it.
Okay.
I do not disagree with either one of you. Like I said, there's a lot of shortcomings in this movie. I believe that this is what they wanted.
Yeah.
Almost. I know there was a lot of conflict, but this movie was supposed to be over the top. It was supposed to be nuts. It was supposed to be.
Apparently, there was an hour cut out of this. I can't imagine
Yeah.
an extra hour of this.
But like before, I say Lori Petty definitely took it on the chin on this one.
Yeah.
Being that that comic book, she was the second comic book, female comic book put to film. First one was Supergirl. So this was the second time a female comic book
Good
character
for her
was
on
put
that.
to film.
Yeah, she didn't
She
do Free
paved
Willy
the way
2 because
for
of
a
this.
lot to go down the way.
She did.
And so I think that's one of the reasons why this movie is such a cult classic. Not necessarily that it's a great movie, but it was a movie that changed things in the future. So it's almost like it is a bad movie that rules because I just want to give it that respect, saying that it paved the way. It
All right.
it opened doors to future
That's probably
endeavors.
fair, but I don't like this movie.
And you know what the thing is, I'm a costume guy,
Yeah.
and I enjoyed those. By the way, I enjoyed those cul-de-sacs. I enjoyed the costumes. I enjoyed the hairstyles. I'm gonna go on record right now. I'm making a Tank Girl.
Are you?
I'm gonna do my version of Tank Girl.
Okay.
I'm doing one.
I mean, I wanted
to.
to like
I
it.
liked it so much.
I wanted to like it. I would have liked it if Arnold Schwarzenegger had been in the movie.
Yes, I was
Yes.
thinking. I was
I
just
would
thinking,
have.
where would he go? Where
There
would we
we
put
go.
him?
Wow. That was-
You could just make him.
He
thank
could be
you.
great
Give
value,
yourself
John
an applause
Travolta.
for that one.
You could. He could have been the head ripper. Imagine Arnold as a ripper, because you've seen those pictures on the internet of jacked kangaroos. Have you ever seen those?
Yeah.
Where these like there's some boys out there that have like not skipped leg day.
A guilty pleasure of mine is watching humans fight kangaroos.
Yes.
It never goes well for the
jumps
human.
Up, jacks that one.
It's just something so funny about them hopping, and they use their little fists. And
There's some that clearly are lifting weights out there, and so immediately I thought of, well, you could easily do that with Arnie.
Yes.
And have him just be this jacked. I like Ice-T, but send Ice-T to the break room and have Arnold be that guy.
Jack Ripper.
Oh my gosh, it would have been awesome.
Jack Ripper, that doesn't
right.
Jack the Ripper.
Can you imagine Arnold in that makeup?
Yes. 100%.
And it's like, but the makeup's just on his head.
Yes.
The rest of his body is just like Arnold.
With a tail.
With a tail.
Apparently, there were some continuity issues with the kangaroo where their feet were big sometimes, and other times they were just normal feet.
Imagine Arnold coming on the dance floor and just trying to pile drive Naomi Watts just into
like body
oblivion.
Slams her and then just dry humps her leg.
Well, it's Ice-T did. If he's playing Ice-T's part, he didn't do any of that.
No,
you can't take Ice-T out of this movie.
No, you can't take this. Yes.
All right. Well, then you just add in. Then take out the guy that.
Donner or one of those guys.
One of the back ones.
Yeah.
Take out one of those and bring them forward.
I thought the kangaroo guys were the best actors other than Naomi.
Sure.
They were pretty good.
Well, look, thanks for listening, everybody. If you're still here with us all the way at the end of the episode, you guys are the diehards. And, we made the Patreon for you guys. So check us out on Patreon if you haven't already. Patreon.com/badmoviesrule. Drop us a review on your app of choice, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you're happening to listen to us. Just drop us a 5-star. It helps us get pushed out to more listeners and really helps the show get out there. And just want to talk about next week for a quick second here. Next week, we're going to be discussing a movie that was suggested to us by Brandon Cantrell, who is also the one that suggested Winners Take All, which turned out to be one of my favorite ones we ever did.
Yes.
So I gave him another crack at it. And he actually, we mentioned this on one of the mailbag episodes, a movie called Prayer of the Roller Boys.
Prayer of the Roller Boys.
Is what we'll be talking about next week. I mean, who doesn't want to watch a movie about a rollerblade
I'm doing
gang?
that one.
Rollerblade.
I'm excited.
Gang.
It's got Corey Haim in it, I think. Or
no thanks.
one of
It's
the
awesome.
Coreys.
Yes.
Maybe both the Coreys. Did they ever work?
It's Corey Haim and Patricia Arquette.
Oh, I'm excited.
And a gang of trench coat clad rollerbladers.
I'm actually willing to rent that movie.
I'm glad I'm not here for that
I'm
one.
excited for that one.
It's going to be awesome. It's on YouTube, so check it out if you guys.
I'm going to make a prediction.
Yeah.
It's better than this movie.
It's better than Tank Girl? We'll see.
Better than Tank Girl.
We'll see. We'll see. But in the meantime, check us out wherever you find. We're on YouTube. We're on Patreon, all that stuff. We just appreciate that you guys were here along for the ride. Thanks for coming along on behalf.
I'm going to drive my tank here at the end.
Drive it all the way out.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Take us out.
Take us out with a tank.
Take us out, Tank Girl.
On behalf of Charles Hewitt and Joe Goratowski, I'm James Hauser. We want to thank you for listening. We'll catch you next time. Oh, it sounds so realistic.
As much effort went into this tank than into the whole
entire movie
of Tank Girl.